All right, Free Radicals, welcome back. My name is Dave, and you're watching The Radical Independent. I'm that guy. You're probably that person, too, if you're watching. Hey, Tulsi supporters, here's my take on what we should be doing, all right? Respect. Mutual respect for people in general, and I think we need to extend that professional courtesy and that respect to Bernie Sanders supporters and Bernie himself. Bernie is a flawed candidate. Tulsi is the least flawed candidate, although I've heard some people say they think her being a hawk on terror, for instance, is a bad thing. And I disagree with that, but I disagree with a lot of so-called progressive positions that they put forth. I don't think felons should be able to vote while they're in prison. We have much bigger fish to fry than worrying about. And I know there's an argument for it. Some of them were incarcerated who shouldn't have been incarcerated. But I just don't think it's politically a good tact to take. So again, the reason I bring that particular issue up is because early on during this campaign, I was kind of scratching my head. I mean, how progressive do I want to be on certain issues? I'm not sure. I'm very progressive when it comes to Medicare for all. I am very progressive when it comes to forgiving student loan debt. I'm progressive when it comes to the housing crisis in this country, the debt bubble. I'm very progressive when it comes to free speech. And this leads me into why Tulsi supporters probably need to stay the course until Tulsi says, I'm out, I'm done. All right? Whether she's the nominee or whether she's a figure at the Democratic convention who carries some level of influence and hopefully some clout, it doesn't matter. These issues that Tulsi brings forward, especially the issue of peace and endless war and all of that, to me, that's the beginning of everything right there. Once you've got a candidate who believes in less intervention around the world, you really have a great starting point where then you can talk about domestic policy when people ask you the dumb question as to how you're going to pay for stuff. Well, you could say, first of all, the Fed just printed a bunch of money for themselves. So, I mean, if they can print it for themselves, they can print it for you and I so we can afford to get quality health care. Oh, no, we can't do that. Okay, so it's okay to print for financial institutions that essentially are bailing themselves out because they're running a Ponzi scheme. The other day on RT America, I heard that the Fed might actually do negative interest rates someday. They want you to spend so recklessly that they are willing to give you money to spend. It's mind-boggling. And you'll still be in debt. You just won't be in debt as much because each time you do something, they're going to give you a little percentage back. It's madness. It's complete, utter... And by the way, Trump said he supported it. Of course. Trump supports anything that has to do with, the reckless financial institutions that, he basically said that he was going to prop up. And I should have seen that one coming. To be all excited about Wall Street every day and to talk about the stock market. So that's where Trump is at, and Tulsi isn't there. Bernie isn't there either. And that's why, even though I have issues with Bernie, he is again, I look at it, Tulsi being at about 99% on my list of things that I think are really good. 97, 99. Bernie's down around 80. And maybe even in the 70s. I just worry, the biggest thing I worry about with Bernie is that he is going to fold up shop. That once he gets in there, he's going to be co-opted by a neoliberal, the security state, the military state. They're all going to go in there, say, look, we know what you're about, but here's the reality. Here's what you have to do for us. You keep quiet on foreign policy, let us run the show. Tulsi Gabbard wouldn't do that. Tulsi Gabbard She's been at campaign events where she said, hey, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call all these people in here and I'm going to say, the buck stops here. We're done. We're done doing this. We're done running around the world instigating battles to support and prop up basically corporations, all right, giving socialism. What do you think the $1 trillion budget is for? It's socialism for the military and all those industries surrounding it. So if you say you don't like socialism, you should be anti-socialism across the board. Most people can't really understand that. So they just speak in their little echo chamber about the things they understand. And if you tell them, you call them out and say, well, you know, the police department and the fire department, that's socialism, right? That's why I just wish progressives would drop talking about it and not say socialism, say we're going to go issue by issue and we're going to come up with the best policy for Americans. We're going to do populism. We're going to do populism and we're going to do the kind of stuff we've been doing for the rich folks. We're going to bring that down to the people who are truly the least of these among us. Very simple, easy to understand. You know, you're still going to get accused of being a socialist, but I'm just saying that's the way you handle it. Nobody seems to be willing to make that jump. Everybody wants to kind of just, I don't know, speak almost as if they want to rub it in their faces and say, well, I'm a democratic socialist. Okay, great. How many votes did you just lose by saying that? Just say you're a populist who cares about people in this country who don't have much. You care about poor, the working poor, the shrinking middle class, how people make ends meet. $15 an hour wages, that's not socialism. That's fairness. It's fairness. I mean, the cost of living continues to go up and there's no, countermeasures to that. So what it is I'm trying to say in this video is that even though I'm getting a little bit, frustrated with some of the rhetoric about Bernie Sanders, and the people who support Tulsi are all of a sudden just like attacking Bernie. Bernie's doing really well in the polls. He's getting attacked. Here's the odd thing. If you're going to join in and attack Bernie, you're going to be joining in with CNN. You're going to be joining in with MSNBC and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. Is that which bedfellow do you want to hang with? You know what I'm saying? To me, what you should be doing is just propping up your candidate, talking about Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I'm not advocating, by the way, because some people have said, well, you need to stay the course and you're acting like it's over and it's not over, it hasn't really begun yet. True, very true. But here's the right strategy. Don't waste your time on Bernie Sanders. Go after all of these institutions that are disparaging Tulsi and at times also disparaging Bernie. There are a lot of Bernie people who love Tulsi, and you can kind of love both of these people. Love Tulsi more because Tulsi's a better candidate. Tulsi's better on free speech. She's better on, I think, nuance. When she does legislation, it's not just a one-size-fits-all solution to a problem. It's taking into consideration the political climate that currently exists. And by the way, this isn't centrism. This is strategy. Okay? Everyone's going to say, oh, well, she's just going to be a centrist. She's going to try to do a little Republican thing, a little Democrat. No, this ain't a Republican thing. It's not a Republican thing. Allowing people to buy supplemental insurance is not a Republican thing. Okay? It's a thing that's going on in Sweden. It's a thing that's going on in pretty much every country that loves their current healthcare system. All right? And if your goal is to cover people, to cover everyone, and, to force rich people into a program that they don't want because they're rich and they can afford it, well, then you've got a two-tiered system. No, you don't. You have a one-tiered system, except they have to pay what everybody else gets for free. That's how it works. And if you think they're paying for better services because they've got more money and you're trying to say, screw you, you can't do that, then that's classism, class warfare to a point where it's uncomfortable. It's not comfortable for me. Look, I'm more concerned about the people who aren't getting covered. Let those people get covered. It's not Medicare for some. It is Medicare for all. And it's not Medicare for all who want it either, Mayor Pete. It's just a better way of handling the situation and saying, you know what, rather than giving this away to a billionaire who can pay for it on their own, and they're not mandated, in other words, they're not going to get better coverage than the person who gets for free. They're just going to get a bill. The other person's not going to get a bill. That's how that works. Fairly simple, okay? The individual mandate that Obama put on everybody, cut into your income, all right? That, to me, isn't necessarily fair. There should be like a value-added tax or something that's consumption-based because, hey, we're in a consumer-driven culture, right? So let all the ad agencies out there, let them basically fund the healthcare system. That's how I see it. So anyway, I think Tulsi has better ideas. I think she's a better candidate. So we need her in there to pull Bernie in certain directions, just like there are people on Twitter saying that I'm trying to pull Tulsi in a direction. I'm like, really? Really? You know better than Tulsi, huh? I love that stuff. When people start saying that I'm smarter than this candidate, and they should be listening to my tweets. Oh, okay. I'm sure they've got you, on speed dial for tweets. They, as soon as they see a tweet, they go, okay, time to change our foreign policy right now. Time to stop talking about free speech. So, yes, we need Tulsi in there until the end. She helps Bernie. She helps the cause of independent thinking and the word I hate to use a lot of times, progressivism, because I'm not sure what it is right now. Anyway, so all of that basically to say, be aloha, but understand that keeping Tulsi in here is important to the entire process. And if there is to be a rainbow or a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow in the future, meaning another political movement, you need to keep fighting for Tulsi until the very end, and even maybe a little bit beyond the end, to show the establishment that, hey, we're just not happy with what you're giving us. And if you're one of those people that doesn't trust Bernie, you've got to keep saying that. You got to keep saying, I'm just not happy with this. And then really start thinking about third parties, thinking about making statements, thinking about campaigning for your local candidates who can truly work from the ground up and then really stir, the entire political process where you're not just getting the same old neo-lib and neoconservative. You're getting somebody who's representing us. And so that's where I see this going. Anyway, I appreciate people watching. Obviously, the channel is struggling a little bit. This one will be going up to YouTube, and I'll try to remember again to put my email address for PayPal, but, money, I get it. People have decided that they've given, and I get that. So, yeah, I'll be on Rockfin, too, and you can check me out over there as well. All right, folks, thanks for watching. See you soon.